Hello, Quentin, Egypt Reads and Rambles, and I'm here doing another 5 albums video. Um, I want this to be short, so I'm gonna get down to business. First album is gonna be Betty Davis, They Say I'm Different, which is probably one of my favorite funk albums ever. I was talking to someone on Instagram, and they said that people act like Betty Davis doesn't exist. That's nonsense. If I can get one person to listen to Betty Davis, this video will do its job, and if I can get 2 people to talk about Betty Davis, this video will do its job. She's incredible, really amazing singer. But if you've never heard Betty Davis before, what are you getting? You're getting 3 things with a Betty Davis album. Number one, you're getting incredible, oh shit, son, but you're getting incredible funk music, instrumentals, great funk musicianship. Yeah, so much going on there, and a pretty sort of wide array of energy on here. It's really, really interesting what she's getting together for the instrumental aspect of this. But you're also getting 2 other things. The next thing you're getting with Betty Davis is some incredibly fun, sexy, explicit lyrics on here, and that is a really that I really enjoy that about the album. I'm talking specifically about the songs Shooby and Cop Him and Your Mama Wants You Back, and those are about, wooing somebody, seducing somebody. Yeah, you're also getting a track like He Was a Big Freak, which is about a man who likes to get beaten with a turquoise chain. Very hilarious song, but also sexy. It's really interesting. Then you're getting songs like Special People, which is all about love, actual love. And then you're getting They Say I'm Different, which is basically about Betty Davis and her place in, the traditions that she's, placed in. She names a bunch of musicians, Howlin' Wolf, and among others. But yeah, very interesting stuff. Also, Don't Call Her No Tramp, about slut shaming. Really good lyrical ideas here, and I just love it's so much fun. I love listening to it. The next thing you're getting with Betty Davis, the last thing that I think is like a quintessentially Betty Davis quality, is the vocal personality. You're getting, funk is a genre with so much vocal personality. You're getting that here, absolutely, in spades. One of the strongest vocal personalities I've ever heard, Betty Davis. Yeah, she'll do things like slur her words. She'll talk very romantic. Her vocal tone it'll take on like a lot of romance and understatement, but then she'll have this really sort of coy aspect to her voice on like Your Mama Wants You Back and Shooby and Cop Him, and then when He Was a Big Freak, she's just screaming. The first 10 seconds of the song, the first time I listened to it, I was like, excuse me. It's very good. I say definitely check it out. Also, she just outright screams on like Don't Call Her No Tramp. She'll say like, don't call her no tramp, and then she'll just go, wow, now, wow, like just scream. It's awesome. Get in there, a lot of personality on there, but I gotta move on. Thing is, I'm gonna link Shooby and Cop, and one of my favorite funk songs ever, probably my favorite funk song ever. But apart from that, I don't think you're getting like Show Me the Bad Song on here. I don't think you'll be able to. It's very good. Yeah, Betty Davis, They Say I'm Different. Why aren't you listening to it? Go listen to it. The next album, we're talking about Shibuboshi by Shibusashirazu Orchestra. I can't say it, but this is an amazing jazz fusion album. Yeah, if you think of the sort of the classic jazz fusion record, Miles Davis, which there's a relation to Betty Davis, look it up. I'm not going to get into it, but if you think about Bitches Brew, the classic jazz fusion album, what you're thinking about is tension, probably, right? That album is all about tension. It is very uneasy. This album is as well, but it takes a lot of there's a lot of bombast to it that is just not there in Miles Davis. It's very abrasive at points. It's so like they use volume very well. It'll just get deafening at some points and very calm at others. A lot of sort of jazz genres are just colliding on this album. I'm thinking specifically of the swing grooves on Nadam, which are just very I don't know anything about the group, but the orchestra makes it very abrasive. And then you get tracks like Akan, which are all, the first half of Akan is like this free jazz horn and sax like wizardry, black wizardry. It's very interesting, but then the last half is this sort of very catchy loud big band section, which is just really interesting. And on this album, we get at least two Sun Ra covers that I can identify. We get a cover of "Space Is the Place," which is one of my favorite songs on here. It's incredible. And "Images," which "Images" is just such a fitting opener for this album. I'm gonna link it. But yeah, you're just on this album. You're getting so much energy all the time. Such fiery performances. You're just getting killer jazz music here. It's a sort of like mind expanding, like a transcendental album, but it's also very abrasive. It's very frantic. The performances are super frantic. There's like desperation on the album, like the emotions. Just like it's very like the playing is almost like desperate. It's like these people are playing like there's guns to their heads or something like that. It's crazy. It's amazing. You got to listen to this thing. I don't know why it hasn't gotten bigger. My theory is just because it's Japanese, that Western listeners don't really listen to it. I only heard it because I saw JPEG Mafia tweet about it. Yeah. The next album is another weird one. I'm talking specifically about Duck Stab by The Residents. The Residents are a really interesting performance art group. None of their members are named, and also on top of that, all of their members, when they're depicted on the album covers, everyone has tuxedos. You can't see if they're men or women. There's a male and a female vocalist on this album, and all of the heads are the people. They all have tuxedos on, and the heads are giant eyeballs with top hats on them. It's very freakish. Freakish is a really good word to describe this album. It's a sort of like, it can seem very gimmicky at first with Constantinople, but listen to Constantinople in the dark at night in headphones. Do it. It's horrifying. This album is, if you're a fan of horror movies, I would say definitely check this album out. It's a sort of like funhouse horror, circus horror type of vibe. The vocals are very unsettling, I find, especially the lyrics, which are kind of poetic at times, but also just sort of naive and childlike. It's very strange, but you should hear this album. It's really interesting. Of course, you might recognize "Hello Skinny" and "Constantinople" from a Primus cover. I think the album "Frizzle Fry" ends with a mashup of two covers, and of course Les Claypool freaking loves this. This seems like totally Les Claypool type of stuff. Overall, favorite songs on here, probably "Sinister Exaggerator," "Blue Rosebuds." "Lizard Lady" is probably the single most terrifying song on here for me. "The Electrocutioner," "Hello Skinny." "Bach is Dead" is really interesting. I was thinking like Duck Stab. What the hell are you talking about? There's not much mentions of ducks on here, but Bach is Dead. I know this group, they put out Third Reich and Roll, which is about the fascism of rock and roll music, how everything basically controlled all types of music, and all types of music basically got blended with rock. That's not here. This music is alien to the rock traditions that are so popular around the time. But Elvis, there's a song called "Elvis and His Boss," "Bach is Dead," which I'm thinking like, is Bach like, you think like a chicken box. Ducks don't balk, they quack. But is that a kind of duck that is being stabbed? I don't know. It's very weird. "Hello Skinny" is incredible. Some sort of like really uncomfortable lyrics. "Skinny was born in a bathtub, and he grew so incredibly thin that even the end of an eyedropper sucked him in." Yeah, very creepy stuff, right? "Birthday Boy" is horrific. Anyways, "Blue Rosebuds" is a really good one as well. It's one of my favorites. Definitely check out Blue Rosebuds. I'm going to link Constantinople because that's just the perfect intro to this album. But okay, I'm done talking about The Residents' Duck Stab. It's incredible. Try to fight the urge to call it gimmicky. Very much try to fight that urge, because if you could just give yourself to this album, oh boy, is it ever gonna freak you out? But we're gonna move on to something that is equally, I guess, weird and dark, but also just more bombastic, like Shibuboshi, but more bombastic, less horror, and more just sickening, and more. It's kind of catchy and weirdly sexy in some spots too. I thought, um, and don't judge me. It's Too Dark Park by Skinny Puppy. Um, I think a helpful comparison right now would be Nine Inch Nails. I know Skinny Puppy fans are not gonna like that. Nine Inch Nails' first song, "Down in It," is a was inspired by Skinny Puppy's "Dig It." I think Trent himself had called it a ripoff of "Dig It," but don't tell the Skinny Puppy fans I said this. But "Down in It's" better than "Dig It." Yeah. Um, but anyways, in Trent Reznor's songwriting, some strengths to it are, as weird and abrasive as it can be, there's very strong hooks and very strong choruses to his stuff that make it very catchy. This album, Skinny Puppy does not even want to do that. Trent Reznor sings. The vocalist here does not sing. Does not. All you get is this weird snarl where Nature's Revenge is a really telling spot where it's just like you get this vocalist who just kind of goes, yeah, and just sort of all his lyrics are said like that. It's very strange, abrasive music, but it also goes about creating these convoluted, these disturbing atmospheres in a really sort of convoluted way. It's I couldn't understand what this album was even trying to do on my first listen. The first time I listened to it, I couldn't even make it all the way through because it just opens with Convulsion, Tormentor, Spasmolytic, and those three songs are just so impossible to make sense of if you don't know the group and you're not really familiar with industrial music. Like Convulsion is just such a deeply strange song. Like you get just this pounding drums, and the lyrics are just insane. You get a part where you know where the vocalists just keep going downward, and you're just like, oh, it feels like a descent into like hell. It's really tough. You also get some great movie samples on here. He is horribly, deeply uncomfortable, or something like that. He's losing his mind and he feels it going. Yeah, really awesome song. There's also a tone on here that sounds like a pig squealing, being like a pig squeal getting like electronically processed. So weird. But then we get Tormentor, and the rhythms of Skinny Puppy are one of the things that are they're very dense, and the synths that are often used very low, and they wind up working as part of the percussion, right? In Tormentor, because of all of the low synths and the drums that just keep cycling, the rhythm is just massive, and you'll get drums that will come into the mix for one single bar, and then they'll just leave. And it leads to this listening experience that's very unmoored. You're desperately searching for things to hold on to in the beat, but it's very tough to grasp anything because it just slithers away. It's really interesting stuff going on, but Spasmolytic has a sort of consistent rhythm, but it's just, oh my god, it's just sickening. Like it's very dirty, filthy, like it just slippery music that you can't really grab onto without feeling like uncomfortable. But Spasmolytic is very like head nodding. Great bass lines like all over here, synthetic bass lines. Really good. Nature's Revenge, amazing song. I'm probably gonna link Nature's Revenge. Shoreline Poison is a good example of what makes this album so weird, because with the drums are looping at a different after a different amount of cycles than the rest of the stuff, and because the rest of the instrumentation rests unevenly on the drums, as the drums in their cycle, they sort of change up for one little spot. When they do that, and when the rest of the stuff sits unevenly on it, that do like the how does it go, like do. That's not even the drum beat, but anyways, there's a one part of the drum loop that it switches up, and that takes me off guard every time because it's looping at a different pace than the rest of the stuff. Really weird to listen to. I can't really describe it. Go listen to it. It's great, but yeah, the first 6 songs on this album I think are almost perfect. The only one that I'm not the biggest fan of is Rash Reflection, which I do very much like, but not perfect. Yeah, great, amazing album. Morpheus Laughing is also really good, and it ends on such a weird note. Reclamation, I'm not even going to talk about it, but yeah. The next album I'm going to talk about is Third Eye Vision by Hieroglyphics, and this is an incredible rap album. Hieroglyphics are a sort of rap crew that, among other people, it contains Souls of Mischief, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who both of those groups are great already. Well, Del's not a group, Del's a man. But yeah, listen to I Wish My Brother George Were Here, and No Need for Alarm. Listen to 93. Excuse me. Listen to 93 Till Infinity. Yeah, that's what you got on here. And this is just packed with bangers. 22 songs, which is, it's a little bloated, but like, show me 3 bad songs. You can't. There's great lyricism on here, very nerdy lyricism in a lot of instances. But of course, it opens up with the intro and then You Never Knew, which is a classic song. Just an awesome, awesome track. And one thing I love about this album is the brag raps. I tend not to enjoy rappers, flexing on the 99%, but these guys, when they employ brag raps, it's all about being better and getting, better skills than the other MCs. Just a very sort of pure, competitive, like hip hop is supposed to be. And I very much love this album for that, right? Every member has their own solo song. I love Festo. I love At the Helm with Del. I love so many of these, like, just incredible. From front to back, all things, and just great hooks. All things ain't what they seem, you'll get washed, even if you're way too clean. Like, just such great hooks. The Who, one of my favorite beats, pretty jazzy beat, but also just amazing, amazing hook. It's so catchy, and the way that the rappers sort of trade off rhymes on this whole album is just incredible. The last one, another amazing hook. We eat MCs out, do and surpass them, but what's gonna make you different than the last one? Right, just incredible hook. Also just like super great bars, but my favorite song on here has to be Mics of the Round Table. It's such a Souls of Mischief idea, but it's basically about, they're on a journey to find the holy mic. They're on a crusade to find the holy mic and to kill these satanic MCs, the whack MCs. They're killing them, right? And the way they switch off their bars on here is just like seamless, right? You on this section that I'm gonna read, you have Festo, Tajay, and A plus switching off the rhymes, right? And I'm just gonna read like 6 bars, but Festo comes in saying, this ain't no practical joke or anti-factual hoax, but something each breath in my aviola sax will promote. And then from there you get A plus, who basically just takes over. It says, opposing MCs will be stomped in the process or taken hostage until it is accomplished, and you can't stop us, with like a lot of internal rhymes. And then of course Tajay takes over from there and says, draw down the drawbridge, cross the moat, let's go. Hieroglyphics adventures in the twilight zone. Like, just such great chemistry on here. You can't help but just sort of marvel at the displays on here. Just great stuff from front to back. I don't want to be here any longer, so I'm gonna leave it there. Have yourself a good one. Listen to these albums. What do you think of the songs I linked? And please do take a listen to all the songs that I linked, because these are, I think, all incredible pieces of work. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Have a good one. Hope you're doing well, and peace and groovy.